Present day. Present time.
So I got the RTX 5090, and running it wasn't really that easy. I mean, yes and no. So it took me days of troubleshooting to this issue. I had bad drivers, NVIDIA had horrible documentation. So I had to go to the forum rabbit holes, as you may call it, and NVIDIA giving me the corporate equivalent of good luck, idiot. So the first thing I ended up doing in the whole thing was like I had to figure out what drivers I was supposed to be using to begin with. And there was a lot of confusion at one point. NVIDIA was asking people if they were using proprietary driver, but clearly I remember NVIDIA saying that Blackwell GPUs were only run on the NVIDIA DKM, open DKM's drivers. But in other forums, they kind of made it seem like the way that they phrase it like almost like saying, "Have you tried the proprietary driver?" So what is it? Well, it turns out the proprietary driver actually does run kinda, but half of the GPU features are like not really there, and they won't be there, kinda. The open DKN's version, that's the one that actually works with some duct tape and luck, pretty much. And I know this because there's a specific GitHub that I went to that NVIDIA was actually like helping this person troubleshoot. Well, they weren't really helping, but the way that they worded, they made the guy confirm that he wasn't using the proprietary diary, and the guy had to confirm that he wasn't using the proprietary driver because it wasn't supported by NVIDIA. The Blackwell architecture. So the first issue I ended up running was this GPU was that when I boot up into the PC for the first time, the monitors weren't being recognized by the GPU, and I couldn't change the frames, which is one of the issues that wasn't that foreign. And I've had this issue before in other NVIDIA GPUs, but usually the solution was as easy as just reinstalling the drivers, well, the DKMs, yeah, the drivers over again. But this one wasn't really cutting it. So I did some things. I wanted to look up the questions, but I checked for the Windows side of things. Like I checked for the questions I have and the issues I was having it, but I wanted to see from Windows point of view because if Windows is having this issue, then that totally confirms that it's more of a driver issue. To my knowledge, what I found out is that yes, Windows users were dealing with this, and even some Windows users were dealing with the fact that it wouldn't even boot up. Like people were installing Windows over again. They were loading into black screens, and it wasn't working at all. So yeah, that basically told me, yeah, it's a driver issue. And what really helped me was this really specific on GitHub. NVIDIA asked a guy to concur he wasn't using proprietary driver. I think I already said that. I keep repeating myself. That was pretty much the giveaway. Because with NVIDIA, you never going to get an exact answer. You only get them insinuating things, but you never get an exact yes or no. So the track confirmed why I suspected with the display port weren't being recognized correctly and refresh rate couldn't be adjusted. Um, One of my tutors was like partially right, I would say. So I read through this whole forum and saw the guy, and basically NVIDIA's response was like, "We're aware of it. We're aware of the issue. We're working on it." And that's like to me, that's translation like that translates to "Thanks for your money. Now go away." So they closed the for I mean they closed the thread. Classic NVIDIA move. But in that same thread, this guy mentioned that HDMI 2.1 was working fine, but other ones didn't, even though some that were like certified cables. So that was like an aha moment for me. So my HDMI wasn't working at all, and my DisplayPort were bugged out pretty much. Like my HDMI, my second monitor wouldn't even turn on at all, and then the DisplayPort had that same issue where it literally let me change refresh rate. I pretty much couldn't really do much, so nothing. So I ended up going to the store and I grabbed a DisplayPort 1.4, and I also a gold-plated one, of course, and I also got a gold-plated HDMI 2.1, and guess what? That pretty much fixed the display issue where the frames per second were locked behind, and that part got solved. So, when it came to audio issues, um, okay, then it came to audio problems. I'm picky with audio, like, I like using post effects. I don't like easy effects. It sounds horrible. I know it's supposed to be better technology, but it sounds like actual horse shit. I've never liked easy effects. I've tried to mess around with it. It's just it's not as I just don't like it. Um I was running into this issue where I was using the, post effects from the AUR, and I was having this issue that was really annoying me. So my audio wasn't working on DaVinci Resolve. I was seeing the audio waveform, but as soon as I opened Firefox, it's like the audio of DaVinci Resolve was gone. S- So yeah, I was having that issue. So what I did, I ended up running. I So it turns out it was a conflict between DaVinci uses also directly and how Pipewire handles audio routing. So the fix, I installed Pipewire as the main audio backend and then launched PostFX through Flatpak and sandbox it in a container. Now I can have multiple ads and play audio at once and Resolve pretty much behaves as it should. Um, I guess this is a temporary solution, but it just works. Then I tried running softwares. Softwares, most of them ran for the most part, like everything kind of ran out the box. I didn't really have issues. I only had issues with some web apps, some of the web apps that are made by, your regular Joe. But it was literally just like one of them. Everything else pretty much worked out the box. But when I try Steam, it kept trying to go into the Novea drivers. So those that don't know, those are basically the Asian open source NVIDIA drivers that are like really bad and they're basically dead. So I ended up using the Flatpak version of Steam, and that kind of worked out the box. So, but I didn't like the Flatpak because the Flatpak version doesn't it just doesn't run as smooth as its native version. So I don't remember why I did, but I ended up fixing it, and the AUR version of Steam ended up working. I still have no idea why I did, but it's just work and it stopped doing that. I think I might have blacklisted the Novea because the Novea ones are, or however you pronounce it, are separate than the ones in the drivers. I think that's what I ended up doing. I blacklisted them and it's just ran. But I don't know. I feel like I don't know if Sting hasn't added. I don't think that's really what's happening because I part of me kind of thought that maybe Steam hasn't implemented it into drivers, but I'm not sure if that what it is because at the end I ended up actually being able to run Steam through the regular Steam version. But anyway, at the end of the day, I got it to run. And as for games, everything runs pretty well. DLSS4, I can't pronounce that word. DLSS4. Um, it's kind of like it rumps sometimes. I think it has something to do with the game developers actually have to implement it. Or I don't know if it's NVIDIA. I have no idea. The only reason I think it might be part of developers is because some games actually do have DLSS4 while other games don't. Frame gen, uh, it's there, but most of the time it doesn't really work. Like the settings that's there, but it doesn't work. It does sometimes on rare occasion. It basically works whenever it wants to. But everything else runs pretty smooth. I've noticed that Wayland is a lot way smoother on the RTX 5090. The apps too. Everything just runs smoother. And Vulkan is so much better on it. Like I have no issues or compatibility issues with Vulkans like I did on the 4070. That it's way smoother when it comes to that. And editing is like lightning fast. But that is probably because I got 32 gigabytes of VRAM, DDR7. I think that's so. Look, this is my final thoughts. Look, the lesson here is NVIDIA doesn't really support you. They don't give a shit. They pretend to, but they don't really give direct answers. And I feel like NVIDIA has to like, if you find out someone who made a solution, maybe put that in your page as a possible solution. Or actually sit with just help someone troubleshoot. Don't just ignore them and just like dig it and just keep telling everyone, oh, we're working on it. At least show like links to multiple people and different like solutions. It's like a lot of times I feel like they just want the community to figure it out and they just sit back and say, we're aware of the issue, we're working on it. Like, why? Just by the looks of it, it seems like NVIDIA is suffering from a terminal case of ligma. For those who don't know what it stands for, ligma is a really terminal disease that stands for lick my balls. That's pretty much NVIDIA right there. So here's my thing. If you're thinking of getting a brand new NVIDIA GPU for Linux, or from what I've seen, even Windows, just don't. Wait at least a year for the drivers to catch up and everything to be clean. And I know this is my fault. I wanted to do it, but the whole reason that I went for it, even though I might have deal with problems like this, was because the way that Nvidia was really advertising this new generation of GPU like Linux out the box, day one drivers. And yeah, I mean, they work. I had to do workarounds, which it wasn't as bad as how NVIDIA drivers, how you had to run an NVIDIA card back in the days, like in 2014. It was a fucking pain in the ass. It wasn't that difficult, like extremely like all those headaches. It's definitely better than other new GPUs that they have in Linux, but just don't get it. Just if you don't like troubleshooting, don't get it. Personally, I enjoy the troubleshoot. I kind of get like a little bit of serotonin from it. So if you're just gaming, just go for an AMD. I think an AMD you'll have a way better experience. Like everything just works out the box. The only reason you shouldn't get an AMD and stick to an NVIDIA is if you got to create content creation. Because the thing with NVIDIA is I think the RX 9070 XT right now, the CUDA version of it doesn't really work on DaVinci Resolve. But if you use Kdenlive, then you should be good. So if you're already on an NVIDIA GPU and you create content, just stick to your older card till things are a little bit more stable. Unless you like troubleshoot. If you go troubleshooting, go knock yourself. Um, as always, if you guys have any comments, any questions, just ask me in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, do all that good stuff. Stay spooky, stay weird, and until next time.
So NVIDIA, fuck you.